Former President Donald Trump indicted. We don't know exactly what for. We have some indication. But this is the latest, and we're going to get your reaction to it all throughout the morning. Good morning. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Happy Friday. We made it through the week, and we've, of course, got hopefully a restful weekend ahead, but with New York police in full uniform expected out on the streets as of right now to defend against any potential protestation there may be, and who knows what the situation is going to look like as the sun continues to come up. So keep it here. We'll keep you updated. But of course, you can always chime in live and local as well at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here with Springfield's Morning News, 217-629-7970. Call in live and local. I want to hear from you what you think about this. Now, of course, there's a lot we still don't know. We just know that a grand jury apparently was told to go home for the month, but then came out and there was some background conversation and some news shared with various reporters saying that Trump was indicted by this grand jury. We don't know what's in that indictment. There's some indication it's more than 30 different charges. What it stems from, a lot of the reporting is that it's the alleged hush money payments that Trump made through, allegedly, an intermediary, Michael Cohen, his former lawyer, who's a convicted felon now, and a liar on record. But the allegation is that Trump ordered Cohen to make this payment to Stormy Daniels. So let's get to the latest here. And again, you can always call in live and local at 217-629-7970. From Alvin Bragg, the New York District Attorney in Manhattan, says that this evening we contacted Mr. Trump's attorney to coordinate his surrender to the Manhattan DA's office for arraignment on Supreme Court indictment, which remains under seal. Guidance will be provided when the arraignment date is selected. So, we don't know what's in the indictment, remains under seal. Absolutely, that'll be released once Trump surrenders. But what that surrender is going to look like, a former president, this has never happened before in America's history. And the political ramifications from this are going to be explosive. There's no question. When you have this type of precedent being set, and what his supporters are ultimately going to do, is it going to solidify more support for him as he advances towards the primary for the Republican Party to take on whoever the Democrat's going to be in 2024? Of course, Joe Biden's expected. He's not made that announcement. Trump very much has made that announcement. And this after years of what even former President Donald Trump says is the movement to, quote, get Trump. So let's take a look at what Trump has to say about this. Of course, we saw Alvin Bragg's statement. If you go to Trump's Truth Social and just kind of scroll through, you can see he's been posting quite a bit, including just minutes ago, posting clips of Fox News and different talking heads and commentators, all about what's going on with Donald Trump's indictment. But if you continue to go through, and he's been pretty busy just retweeting and resharing a bunch of Fox News clips. All right, sure, moving on, going. Here he is. Jeez, he's been busy, nonstop. One post did just pop up. Where's Hunter? He says, so sad, looks at a Quinnipiac poll. Do you think that Manhattan DA's involvement of former President Donald Trump indictment is mainly motivated by politics or mainly motivated by the law? 62% say motivated by politics, so Trump's sharing that poll. You've got more that he's sharing about Fox News clips. Speaking of, let's actually, you know what? The former president put out a statement saying that this is a witch hunt, saying that it's just a line of things that have happened with the Russia, Ukraine. He talks about impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, and this is just the latest in that. But I don't think this is it. This is just the first of one indictment. You could see another possible indictment come out of Georgia, where the former president could face allegations of election tampering or questioning the outcome of an election. I didn't know that was a crime, but regardless, if you question an outcome of an election, you get even tagged by some news outfits as a, quote, election denier, putting that adjective in front of somebody. It's anyways, that's another conversation for another day. So Trump could face something there down in Georgia. He also could face something from the DOJ about classified materials being found in his possession. But after, of course, Trump was found with those, you find out that President Biden had multiple tranches of documents that were even back when he was a senator, not able to declassify things, but having those in his possession. And then you find out even former Vice President Mike Pence had classified. So, you could see how all of this has played out for the past 6-7 years to where we are now, and even looking into the future, what's going to happen. Why this is unprecedented: number one, it's the first former president to face charges. Number two, it's a former president turned presidential candidate heading into a primary facing these charges as well. And one possible primary opponent, you've got Ron DeSantis. He's already said that he's not going to cooperate to get Trump extradited from Florida to New York. So stay tuned. We got much more to get to on this. And of course, you can chime in at 217-629-7970. We'll hear from Eric Trump. We'll review a bunch of tweets from a variety of politicos, some in office, some not in office, and so much more. But, of course, I want to hear from you at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here on Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. The former president saying in a statement that he's got some few choice words, saying it's political prosecution and election interference at the highest level in history. From the time I came down the golden escalator at Trump Tower, and even before I was sworn in as your president of the United States, the radical left Democrats, the enemy of the hardworking men and women of this country, have been engaged in a witch hunt to destroy the Make America Great Again movement. Remember it like I do: Russia, 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 the Mueller hoax, Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, the illegal and unconstitutional Mar-a-Lago raid, and now this. The Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession to try to, quote, get Trump. But now they're done with the unthinkable. Indicting a completely innocent person is an act of blatant election interference. So he goes on to talk about Alvin Bragg, and that's something that the district attorney there even campaigned on. Eric Trump on Fox News last night, the president's son, making that point to Sean Hannity when talking about what exactly Alvin Bragg is up to, making good on a campaign promise, essentially is what Eric Trump says Alvin Bragg's doing with this indictment.
And on video, saying that they were going to do this as soon as they got elected. Alvin Bragg brags about it when he was in the attorney general's office, that he went after my father 100 times. He's so proud of that. That was their calling card. This was their mission. This is what they promised their donors. This is what they promised Soros that they would do. It's why they received the big checks. And it's exactly why the American people have lost total faith in the system, Sean.
So what happens next? Trump will have to travel to Manhattan to face the charges against him. And all this stems from the alleged hush money payments that Trump allegedly made through Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels. What does Stormy Daniels have to say about all of this? Well, let's check her out on Twitter. She says, "Thank you for everyone for the support and love. I have so many messages coming in that I can't respond. Also, don't want to spill my champagne," she says. Quote, hashtag Team Stormy. And then she makes a pitch. Merchandise, autograph orders are pouring in, too. Thank you for all that as well, but also a few extra days for shipment. All right, so Stormy Daniels getting her 2 cents in. Let's move on now to who else is talking. Oh, yeah. We'll get to all the politicos in this who've sounded off on Twitter, everybody from Durbin to Adam Kinzinger. But a commentator on Twitter called Shoe on Head. If you guys aren't familiar with her, she's a younger woman commenting on political stuff. And she made this point. She goes, "Insane to me that the first president to ever get arrested in this collapsing evil empire is arrested for not war crimes, but horny crimes." And I think that that's probably going to be a sentiment a lot of people have when it comes to this idea of equal justice, right? I mean, this is a hush money payment. This isn't Watergate. This isn't using campaign dollars to fund a dossier to then launder it through the FBI to spy on a political opponent, as Hillary Clinton did. This is a alleged hush money payment of like $130,000. So we'll see what happens there. Other comments coming in. Senator Dick Durbin, here's a thread that he has. He says, while there are many unknowns, we know a few things to be true. The Manhattan District Attorney must be allowed to continue his investigation without interference. Any attempt to undermine this process is contrary to the rule of law. Goes on to say that political violence or threats of violence cannot be tolerated. I'll ding that. As this process continues, former President Donald Trump should be afforded the due process protections that he is guaranteed by our Constitution, just like any other American. But no one's above the law, he says, not even a former president. Who else we got lined up here for comments? Representative Mary Miller. She says that the partisan Manhattan DA is leading a political witch hunt to punish Joe Biden's political opponent instead of getting justice for actual crimes victims in increasingly violent New York City. Every American should be concerned about this blatant political weaponization of the justice system, Miller says. Support for the America First agenda is on the rise because Joe Biden's created crisis after crisis with his attacks on energy production and border security. The left claims they stand for democracy, but they pursue bogus investigations to try to remove their political opponents from the ballot so voters cannot vote for the candidate of their choice, which is the definition of democracy, ! So she goes on to share even more. What else? She also shared on a separate Twitter account, the corrupt Soros prosecutors want to destroy our system of justice and tear our country apart. We stand with President Donald Trump and the America First agenda movement. #MAGA. So again, you're seeing just some of the comments that are being made here from some of the politicos. But what about the former politicos? Adam Kinzinger, what does he have to say about all this? If you look at his Twitter page, you can see he's retweeting a whole bunch. He's sharing some tweets that are seemingly in support of this. Oh, here's one. Finland is in NATO. Okay. Moving on, though, he continues to share apparently Lindsey Graham saying if we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed and it will be deserved. Interesting. Okay. That's a weird flop, but that was way back in 2016. Then you get even more tweets and shares. And he says ultimately here 12 hours ago, he says, today is a somber day for our nation. Donald Trump committed many crimes, Kinzinger says. But this indictment should be a reminder that in America, no one is above the law. We must move forward and let justice prevail. The anti-democratic threat, however, hasn't diminished. And there's been some speculating that this has been done to try to stoke political violence. As Senator Durbin, he pushed back and urged for no types of political violence. It's being speculated in some circles that this could be to egg on a reaction. I think Glenn Beck even last night said that that's a motive that he is fearful is part of all of this, to egg on some kind of over-the-top outbursts that then can be used as the January 6th riots were used to systematically go after political opponents. Others saying that this is a banana republic. Others making some jokes here. Babylon Bee has a headline, Manhattan DA announces plan to get Trump elected in 2024. So what's going on here? Your thoughts. And, of course, we'll talk more about this throughout the show, but this is just our first opening salvo to it. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Yes, hello, Greg.
What's up, man?
Fired up, Sean Gotti
right
here.
On.
Let me say, nobody's above the law yet. Here we have the big guy, presumably Biden and his ridiculous son, their China dealings. We've got the Clintons doing what they have done all their lives, and yet, what do we find out? We find out Trump's been indicted. Why Trump? Why not these other guys too? What's the deal? Why the favoritism? Oh, because they're trying to avoid, him being elected again.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's got me. I'm not the biggest Trump fan. I voted for the guy. He's got a loud mouth. I don't like that, but he did well for the country. That being said, do we not see all that? We just see his loud mouth. What's the point? What's the deal? I don't understand.
So do you think that this is going to solidify support for Trump, or do you think that people are just going to toss their hands up and say, I'm done with this.
No, we're gonna see a huge Trump wave over this whole thing. This isn't going to do nothing but make his popularity rise.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the call, Sean Gotti. Always good to hear from you. Be safe out there, and we'll chat again soon for sure. Let's take one more call here. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Well, good morning, Greg. I can be real quick with this. It's basically an attempt to distract like the media and I guess and the public from the incompetence and the corruption of Joe Biden, and that's pretty much that's what it comes down to.
And others saying that, hey, you've got the banks collapsing, which some say is going to get worse. You've got China and India, and rather China and Brazil and Saudi Arabia, and the BRICS agreement, which is going to tear down the U.S. petrodollar, which is going to be devastating to this economy. You've got the prospect of increased warfare with not just Russia, but also China. You've got all of these things that are going on, and all of a sudden this thing drops. Yeah, there's some people say, hey, this is a distraction from all of the other problems that there are. I appreciate the call. We will take more of your calls, I promise. We've got tons more headlines to get to. We'll get to all of that later on throughout the program, so keep it here with Springfield's Morning.